The moment Emma stepped out of Incheon Airport, the chill of the Korean winter wrapped around her like a welcome hug. Her heart beat wildly, not from the cold but from the joy she could hardly contain. She was finally here. South Korea, the land she had dreamed of for years, the place she'd fallen in love with through dramas, language apps and late-night ramen bowls in her apartment in Abuja. And now, she wasn't just visiting, she was hired as a full-time scriptwriter. But this journey didn't start here. Back home in Nigeria, Emma was known as the K-drama girl. While others watched American sitcoms, she binged every Korean romance, thriller and melodrama she could find. She wasn't just obsessed, she studied them. She would pause a scene, scribble dialogue in her worn notebook and whisper Korean phrases until her tongue caught the rhythm. "Saranae," she'd whisper into the mirror, then laugh at herself. She taught herself basic Korean using free YouTube channels and Duolingo. She practiced with a local Korean student in Abuja who found her accents cute but determined. She fell in love with the culture, the food, the respect, the poetry, in silence. But beyond the fantasy, Emma worked hard. She interned for free at a local media house, wrote 3 web dramas that trended modestly online, and submitted script samples to international contests. One day, an email popped up. JX Media Productions, Seoul, was hiring foreign writers for an upcoming multicultural drama project. She applied, heart pounding, hopes low. Then, she got it. Her parents were scared. "Korea? That far?" her mother asked, but Emma had already packed in her mind. The day she received her visa, she cried into her suitcase. She arrived 2 days before work started. Those first 48 hours were a whirlwind of settling in, a tiny studio apartment, her first tteokbokki, and long walks just staring at neon signs like they were magic. Then came her first day. A taxi pulled up to the towering silver building of JX Media Productions, her new workplace, her breath caught in her throat. This was real. She walked in, clutching her small notepad like it was armor. Her Korean was basic, her heart unsure, but her pen was strong, her stories were rich, and she had earned her place. Then she saw him. In the center of the bustling office stood a man in a sharp black suit, hands behind his back, speaking in fast, clipped Korean. His eyes were cold. His tone, icy. The room stilled when he spoke. "Who's the new foreign writer?" he asked, barely glancing at her. Emma's breath hitched. That was him. Namju, the CEO, her boss. He wasn't an actor or someone from her TV screen, but his name was legendary in the production industry. Ruthless, brilliant, untouchable. The man behind some of the biggest hits in Korea. He wasn't just powerful, he was magnetic, intimidating, and clearly completely uninterested in her. Emma bowed deeply. "안녕하세요. I'm Emma, new scriptwriter," she said, voice slightly shaking. He looked at her, just once. A pause. Then, "You're late by 3 minutes." Her heart sank. That was all? No welcome to Korea? No smile? But she nodded. "Sorry, sir." He turned and walked away, already issuing commands to his team. She stood frozen, cheeks burning. The rest of the day was a blur. Emma met with the writing team, sat in pitch meetings she could barely follow, and scribbled notes furiously just to keep up. Every time Namju entered a room, the air changed. Nobody laughed, nobody dared be wrong. By evening, she was exhausted. As the office emptied out, Emma stayed back to rehearse her lines. She sat in the dim conference room, quietly reading one of her sample scenes out loud, her accent thick, her Korean clumsy, but her words honest. "Love isn't loud. It waits in silence until the other person hears," she whispered. She didn't notice the man standing just outside the glass door. But he didn't walk in. He simply watched for a moment, then he left. And Emma, still unaware, sighed and closed her notebook. She didn't know it yet, but her quiet words had already echoed in the most unlikely heart. Emma had always believed she could handle pressure. She'd survived the chaos of Lagos film shoots, written scripts through power outages, and worked under screaming directors. But nothing. Nothing prepared her for Namju. By day 3, she had memorized the sound of his footsteps, sharp, measured, terrifying. Each time he entered the writer's room, everyone straightened. Conversations died mid-sentence. Emma did too. Inside. He barely acknowledged her presence, even as she sat 2 seats away typing like her life depended on it. He never smiled, never joked, never even drank coffee with the staff. Just files, meetings, notes written in red ink that bled across the scripts like wounds. And yet, he wasn't cruel, just cold, frozen even. Like someone had locked his heart away a long time ago and forgotten the key. Emmett didn't know why, but she wanted to understand him. Not as a woman with a crush, but as a writer desperate to unravel a character that didn't make sense. One morning she submitted her first scene draft for review, her hands trembling slightly. It was a heartfelt father-daughter moment, subtle, poetic, the kind she loved writing. Namju read it without blinking, then placed it on the desk. "This emotion is weak," he said flatly. "Rewrite it." Emma's heart cracked. "Weak?" She nodded, blinking back the sting. "Yes, sir." But later that day she found herself on the rooftop, standing against the wind, script in hand. She needed air. Space. She whispered the lines again. Maybe they were weak, maybe she was. She didn't know he had followed her. Namju stood quietly by the stairwell door, watching as she mouthed her own dialogue with her eyes closed, feeling it, living it. And for the first time, his expression shifted. Just slightly. The wind blew her braids across her face. She brushed them back, exhaled, and turned. He was gone. That evening she returned to her desk to find her script on the table. A post-it note in perfect handwriting sat on top. Rewrite the last line only, the rest was not bad. NJ. Emma blinked. Once. Twice. Compliment? From him? She held the note like it might vanish. No smile, no warmth, no words exchanged. But somehow, it was the loudest thing she had heard all week. Emma wasn't sure what stunned her more, the post-it note, or the fact that she couldn't stop rereading it. The rest was not bad. It wasn't poetry, but coming from Namju, it was practically love poetry. She tucked the note inside her notebook like it was fragile glass. The next few days were different. Not dramatically, but enough to feel like a breeze had cracked a window open somewhere. He passed her during a staff meeting and paused just long enough to say, "Your rewrite worked better." No eye contact, no smile, but it was something. Then came the spark. A late night, a storm rolling over Seoul. The team had left hours ago, but Emma stayed behind, revising a scene Mr. Nam said was unbelievable. The lead character was too soft, too forgiving. She sat on the floor of the empty meeting room, cross-legged, script pages scattered around her. The rain tapped against the windows like a soundtrack to her unravelling thoughts. "You really write from your heart?" Emma jumped. Namju stood in the doorway, one hand in his coat pocket, the other holding a mug. She blinked up at him. "You scared me." I knocked. "You don't knock loud." He stepped in, set the mug down on the table beside her. "Tea, not coffee." Emma stared at it like it was a dream. "I didn't know you drank tea," she said. "I don't." "That's for you." Her hands paused in mid-air. She stood slowly. "You stayed late." "I could ask you the same," she smiled. "Just a little." "I wanted to prove your note right." Something flickered in his eyes. There was a silence. Not uncomfortable, just still. He moved closer. The rain outside grew louder. Then Emma said, "Why do you think the lead's forgiveness is unbelievable?" Namju looked at her for a long moment, then replied, "Because real people don't forgive that easily, not unless they want to be hurt again." Her eyes searched his. He looked away. "That sounds personal," she said gently. He didn't reply. Instead, he picked up one of her scribbled pages and scanned it. "You changed the ending." "You inspired it," she replied, voice soft. He met her gaze then. and something shifted. His eyes weren't cold, just guarded. They stood there, in the quiet room, inches apart. A small electricity danced in the air. She felt it. She swore he did too. That night, when she finally returned to her apartment, Emma lay in bed staring at the ceiling. The tea, the silence, the way he looked at her. He felt it too, she thought. He just didn't know how to say it. She smiled, and for the first time since arriving in Korea, she allowed her heart to hope. It had been 3 days since that rainy night. Emma had gone over it 1,000 times. The tea, the closeness, the way he didn't walk away, the way he looked at her. She had imagined many things when she moved to Korea, but never this. Never catching feelings for a man carved from ice, and believing, somehow, that he might be melting. On the 4th night, she made a decision. If she didn't say it, she would suffocate under the weight of silence. So she waited. The office lights had dimmed. The city pulsed gently outside the tall windows. Namju was the last to leave, as always. When he stepped into the corridor, buttoning his coat, she stepped into his path. He blinked. "Emma? Can we talk?" she asked, heart racing. He nodded once, no emotion, just that quiet, unreadable stare. They walked to the rooftop. The wind bit at her cheeks, but she didn't feel it. "I'm not here to waste your time," she began, "but I think I've read the signs wrong. Or maybe not." He said nothing. She kept going. "I like you, Mr. Nam. I know you're not easy, and I don't want you to be, but something about the way you look at me, the tea, the quiet moments. Still nothing. I just needed to tell you." Finally, his eyes met hers, a flicker, something she couldn't place. Then he spoke. "Why?" Her breath caught. "Why what? Why do you like me?" She hesitated. "Because you're kind, even if you pretend not to be. You're brilliant. You challenge me. And you're handsome, obviously." His face changed, just slightly. Something shut down, and then came the words. "We're not suitable." 3 words. No pause, no softness, just cold air and silence. Emma stared at him. "What?" Namju looked away. "Let's not cross lines we'll regret." Her lips trembled. "That's it?" she asked. "We're not suitable." Still, he didn't answer. "Say something real," she whispered. "Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I imagined everything. But don't hide behind business words." Silence. Emma stepped closer. "You owe me that." "Nothing." So she did the only thing her heart could manage. She kissed him, soft, honest, just once. But he didn't move. Didn't blink. Didn't breathe. She pulled back, her eyes shining. "You didn't even flinch," she said. He just stared. Something inside her broke. "I'm sorry," she said, her voice shaking, "for thinking you could feel anything." She turned. Her footsteps echoed across the rooftop, and Namju didn't stop her. Not with words, not with hands, not with anything. Emma didn't cry. Not that night, not the next morning, not even when she walked past Namju in the hallway and he looked straight through her like she was glass. She didn't cry, because she had done the bravest thing a girl could do. She had loved him, honestly, and he had done nothing. Now she gave him nothing in return. No greetings, no glances, no emotion. She came to work, did her job, ate alone, left on time. The African girl who once buzzed with quiet hope now moved like someone checking off her final days. Because she was. Her contract was ending in 2 weeks, and when the renewal form landed on her desk, she didn't even open it. She simply wrote, "Declined," and slid it back. Namju saw her handwriting that evening. Simple, direct, no explanation, just like he'd given her. Something twisted in his chest. Why did she decline? He asked HR. She said she wanted to move on, the woman replied. Personal decision. That night, he stayed in his office long after everyone left. His mind refused to work. He read a line of script 10 times without absorbing it. He didn't understand why it bothered him. It wasn't like she was essential. She wasn't his best writer. She was new, temporary, replaceable. Wasn't she? A knock interrupted his spiral. Sorry to bother you, sir, one of the assistants said, holding a leather notebook. Emma left this behind in the meeting room this morning. Namju took it wordlessly. He knew he should have handed it back or left it on her desk, but his fingers opened it without permission. It wasn't a script book, it was her journal. Page 1 was a simple title. Things I'll Never Say to Mr. Nam. His breath caught. He turned the page. Day 2. He didn't smile, but he didn't frown at me either. That counts as progress, right? Day 9. I rewrote a scene he hated. He said, not bad. I think I'll remember that forever. Day 13. He walked past me twice today. I tried not to look. I failed both times. Day 18. Why does he make silence feel heavier than sound? Day 21. He gave me tea. Just tea. But my hands shook when I held it. Day 27. I think I'm falling. Slowly. Quietly. I hope I'm not alone. Day 30. If he ever notices me, truly notices me, I hope it's not too late. Namjul closed the book slowly, and, for the first time in years, he felt breathless. He stood, took a step toward the door, then stopped. What could he say now? That he read her heart too late? That her silence echoed louder than her words ever did? The next morning, Emma entered the office like usual, until her team lead approached her. Mr. Nam wants to see you in his office. She didn't flinch. Tell him I'm busy. Emma. I said I'm busy. Then she turned away. Namju stood by his office window, watching her walk back down the hallway. And for the first time in his life, he realized he had finally fallen in love. Too late. Since the day she told her team lead, I'm busy, Emma had become a different woman. Confident, clear, cold. Not to others, just to him. She handled pitches with a calm grace that made even senior writers lean in. She delivered revisions with elegance and fire. And Namju, for the first time since becoming CEO, sat through meetings distracted, not by failure but by her silence. She used to steal glances at him. Now, she didn't even flinch when he entered a room, and it drove him mad. One afternoon, Emma entered the break room, humming softly. It was the first time in weeks she'd felt light. Junho stood near the vending machine, grinning as she approached. You're really glowing these days, Emma-si, he said in Korean, offering her a canned coffee. Don't tell me it's because you're finally free from Mr. Nam's deadlines. Emma chuckled, taking the can. Maybe. He leaned in slightly, just enough to make her step back with a teasing smile. Since you'll be leaving soon, how about letting someone steal an evening before you go? She raised an eyebrow. I mean it, he continued. There's this rooftop jazz bar near Hongdae. Sunset, good music, great company. Think about it? Emma laughed. You don't give up, do you? I don't chase unless it's worth it, he said, eyes locked on hers. Then the room went quiet, because Namju was standing in the doorway, watching. His eyes didn't blink. Didn't move. Junho turned. Oh. President? Nam? Namju walked in slowly, his gaze never once leaving Emma. We have a meeting, he said, voice sharp. Emma turned slightly, still holding the coffee. About what? You'll find out. Junho chuckled nervously. Sorry if I interrupted. You did, Namju said flatly. Emma, now. Inside the meeting room, she placed the coffee on the table, arms crossed. That was unnecessary, she said. He didn't look at her. Your focus should be on the investor pitch. And dragging me out of a conversation is part of your strategy. He turned, eyes narrowed. Are you giving me attitude because I rejected you? Emma blinked, stunned, then furious. You think that's what this is? She asked, voice low. That I'm being cold because of you? He stepped closer. What else am I supposed to think? She met his gaze. It takes months to like someone, Mr. Nam. It also takes months to unlike them. That silenced him. She moved toward the door. You don't get to reject me and act like I owe you something. As she reached for the handle, he grabbed her wrist, not forcefully, but firm enough to stop her. And without a word, he kissed her. Sudden, deep, desperate. Her back hit the door, her hand gripped his jacket out of instinct. There was nothing like their first kiss. This one was alive, heavy with all the words they never said. She pulled back, breathless. Why? There was a pause, and then she smirked. Bitterly. Well, now we're even. She turned to leave again. But Namju pulled her back, this time against the wall. Her back met cold plaster, his hand braced beside her head, their faces inches apart. I saw your journal, he said quietly. She froze. His voice softened. Page 2, you wrote, he didn't frown at me today, that counts as progress, right? Her eyes widened. I didn't know then, he said, but I do now. For 3 days, Emma didn't come to work. She wasn't sick, she wasn't on leave, she just needed space. And Namju? He noticed her absence like a hole in his chest. He sat in meetings, distracted, stared too long at the conference room chair she used to occupy. Her laughter, her footsteps, even her faint perfume. Gone. He kept opening his office drawer, where her forgotten notebook now lived. Each page a wound, each line a reminder. He had broken her. The one person who truly saw him, and he had no idea how to fix it. Until he did something he'd never done before. He showed up at her apartment. Emma opened the door slowly, wearing a hoodie and confusion. How do you know where I live? He didn't answer. Instead, he bowed, a deep, painful bow. The kind Koreans reserved for the greatest apologies. She froze. Emma, he said softly. I don't know how to do this. I've never done this. But I'm trying. For you. She crossed her arms. Trying to do what? To earn your forgiveness, to deserve whatever chance you once wanted to give me. You don't get to decide that now, Mr. Nam. He took a slow step forward. Then tell me what to do. I'll do it. I'll rewrite everything, like you rewrote my scenes, my company, my life. You changed me. Emma's eyes welled up, but she didn't blink. You didn't want me when I confessed. You said we weren't suitable. I said that because I've always believed I wasn't capable of loving someone the right way. I didn't know how to care without control, how to want without hurting. He looked at her, eyes clear, voice raw. But then you left, and everything felt wrong. Quiet, cold. I don't want cold anymore. I want you. She inhaled slowly. Words don't fix everything. I know, he said. That's why I brought this. He handed her a leather-bound folder, thick, neatly sealed. Inside were a fresh contract with her name listed under co-executive producer. All creative rights. Project title. The Girl Who Waited. Her fingers trembled as she read. This is my story, she whispered. It was the same drama concept she had submitted months ago. The one she'd written late one night when her heart ached too much to sleep. A fictional story, yes, but it had been her truth, a girl who loved silently, waited quietly, believed deeply. Just like her. Namju met her eyes. You believed in me when I didn't believe in anyone. You waited. You stayed kind. You never asked for anything. This is me choosing you back. Emma's lips parted, her voice barely a whisper. Why this story? Because it's yours, he said. Because you matter, and I want the whole world to hear your voice, not just your scripts. her eyes filled with tears. "You're giving me everything," she said. He smiled gently. "No, I'm finally giving you what you've always deserved." She stared at the folder. Her hands shook. Her heart screamed. And then she dropped everything and kissed him. It was slow, deep, melting. When they pulled apart, her forehead pressed to his. "I hate you," she whispered. He smiled. "I know. I still love you." "I know that too." Outside, snow began to fall for the first time that season. Inside, Emma whispered, "Now, we're really even." And this time, she didn't walk away. Now, tell us, what was your favourite twist? The jealousy, the journal reveal, or the contract surprise? Or was it something else entirely? Drop your thoughts in the comments. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more heart-melting love stories, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss any of our new uploads.